Hi. Thank you for being here. My name is Laura Simon. Ooh. Um, I am a librarian at Washington University. Ooh, I'm getting lots of hearing things. All right. Wonder if that's powering on. Okay. Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. And I would like to introduce you to our speakers today. Elena Zudilova, Sanstra, and Frank Diepmaat. Also, Lorenzo Feri will be joining at the end for Q&A. Due to the feedback audio, I think we'll get started if that's okay. We do have Q&A at the bottom, actually on the right. Elena and Frank, if you're ready, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for introducing us. My name is Frank Diepmaat. I work as a pure administrator at Tilburg University in the Netherlands. In the next 10 minutes, I will tell you more about the experiences we at Tilburg University had with the data monitor. And then I'll hand over to Elena, who will give you some more general information about the data monitor. So, the first part of this presentation, I will tell you more what the data monitor is and why we are using this service at Tilburg University, what were our initial expectations and main findings during the test periods that we used the data monitor. Then I will hand over to Elena, who will tell you more about the user feedback study that Elsevier recently conducted and main findings, and she will give you some related product updates. And finally, there's room for questions, and we have some links to more information about the data monitor. So what is the data monitor? Well, the shortest description that it's a tool to import metadata from datasets into Pure and link them to your institution's publications. The problem that many institutions, also our institution, struggles with is that a big part of the research data of their researchers is published in third-party repositories. So that makes the tracking of institutional research data quite difficult. Also because these metadata are often incomplete. So Elsevier offers a solution in the form of the data monitor. It allows easy identification and ingestion of the institutional research data into Pure. Its key features are that it indexes more than 2,000 repositories, including data sites. It enriches metadata with linked publications, authors and institutions IDs, which I think is very great. For us as administrators, Data Monitor offers a special web app in which we can do some pre-analysis of the institutional datasets. And within Pure, we have the possibility to activate an API to get the data really into Pure. So also within Pure, within the administrator module, it's possible to select extra criteria for the automatic import, and we can also filter on specific repositories or specific research data types. Well, at Tilburg University, we signed an agreement with Elsevier in April this year, which allows us to use the data monitor until the end of 2024. We activated the API in our Pure test environment, tested the functionality, and created a workflow procedure. Planning is to put the data monitor into production in early December. Well, there are three major developments in the research community that underlie our decision to use this service. So the first is the growing importance of the FAIR principles, probably known to you all. Research data should be findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And the open science movement urges us to make our research data openly accessible and provide insight into the entire process of research. So including collection of the research data sets on which publications are based. And finally, in the Netherlands, we also in the middle of introducing a new way of recognizing and rewarding our researchers, not only by counting their publications and citations, but also by recognizing other research activities as a collection of data sets, but also contributions to education, impact, teamwork, and leadership. Well, what did we expect to achieve? From a user perspective, we want more data sets to be directly accessible through our research portal. This will increase the transparency of the research process that we conduct at Tilburg University. As you can see in this example, it should be easy for visitors to see which data sets belong to the specific publication. Clicking on it will lead you to more detailed information. And what's the most important thing, that you can go directly to the source where you can find more information about the data set, and also download the files that belong to the data set. From a management perspective, faculties and departments must be accountable for their research activities. So having the metadata of data sets into Pure helps us to provide a more complete overview in our reports. The main findings during our test period is, well, to start with the most positive feedback, that we found around 690 data sets of our researchers originating from 16 different repositories. This may seem to some of you like not such a big quantity, but you have to take into account that we're one of the smaller universities in the Netherlands. We don't have a medical faculty, we don't have technical faculty, so I think it's a quite a good score. During this test period, we found some issues, communicated that with Elsevier, and there are also some need for improvements. But I won't go into the details of it, but I want to refer you to the wiki space of the Dutch user group, where there's an excellent overview of the improvements that we want as a Dutch community. Well, we're still facing some two major challenges, and I want to mention two. The first one is the automatic matching of authors to internal persons in Pure. Matching is done based on identifiers, author identifiers, such as ORCID or Scopus author ID. But in our Pure, unfortunately, a lot of researchers haven't registered an identifier yet. So now when the data set is imported into Pure, it automatically links to an external author. So we had to build in an extra manual step within our workflow to correct these external persons to internal persons in Pure. The other challenge is that automatic linking of data sets to our institutional repository of Dataverse and now to publication in Pure doesn't work very nice. That's because it has nothing to do with the data monitor, but within Dataverse, we connected already a lot of our data sets to DOIs of publications, but these related DOIs are not exported to DataSite, and from that way not exported to the data monitor. So that's also a challenge where we have to find a solution for. So, well, this is my part of the presentation. Now I would like to give the floor to Elena, who will share some more information about the data monitor user feedback study that Elsevier recently conducted.
Thank you,
Elena,
Frank.
the floor is yours.
Thank you. If you could go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so we conducted a data monitor user feedback study. This was happening during the period of March, July 2021. And the goals of the study were to actually understand what the user flows are in Pure, to identify pain points of our end users, and prioritize the use cases so that we could really focus on the new product capabilities to improve the experience for end users. We talked to 9 people, librarians and RDM managers from seven institutions, and those were universities from United Kingdom, Netherlands, Belgium, but also Sweden. You can go to the next slide, please. So first of all, about the workflows. We identified 3 different types of workflows. One is the automated import workflow, which is often referred to. This is very well suited to small universities when everything is imported automatically. Also, internal persons are matched, so no manual intervention is needed. So semi-automated import workflow is the most adopted at this moment, and for multiple reasons. First of all, internal persons are not always matched, like Frank just mentioned, and hence some curation is required. But also some big institutions really would like to validate and approve data sets before they appear in reporting on Pure Portal. And also very often they inform researchers that the data sets were imported and appear on Pure Portal. And the last, manual import. This is something specifically targeted for researchers. So using data monitor import capabilities, researchers can search for data sets in the data monitor corpus and decide themselves which ones they would like to import. Next slide, please, Frank. So we talked to librarians and RDM manager, and we asked them what difficulties they experienced. On this slide, you can see that we tried to group them in 3 different categories. The first one is related to filter options in Pure. Actually, to us, but more and more data sets that we offer to institutions, they become more selective. So what we heard, some institutes would like to only include in their reports and Pure Portal datasets from the recent publication year. Some would like to exclude sub-institutes. So this was not that was available in the Pure at the moment we were doing user interviews. Then authorship matching. What we learned from participants that the order of the authors is very important because of the recognition, especially the first author and the last author. And last but not least, data precision. Even though records were coming from repositories labeled as datasets, some of participants reported that unfortunately those were reports, papers, or preprints. If you go to the next slide, please. So as a follow-up steps, we learned that it is very difficult to make selections in Pure. So together with the Pure team, we redesigned the data monitor configuration page. What you can see on the screen, there is now a new capability which allows to type the advanced search query. And in this specific example, the Pure admin decided to select publication year for 2019-2020, specific repository, data personnel, but also the dataset type. This will allow us to make a more precise selections in addition to the filters that are already available in Pure. This can be used in Pure 5.21.1 and all follow-up versions. As with regard to quality and also attribution, this is ongoing effort, and you will see precision will continuously improve in 2021 and also next year. Next slide, please, Frank. So, and the second part of our study was to identify the top use cases, top capabilities that we need to focus on. The top use case and the top capability is to offer Pure admins with an environment that would help them to select data sets to later import into Pure to reduce number of import candidates. Then we heard from multiple participants that it's very time consuming to approve or reject data sets one by one. They would like to do it in bulk. And another one I want to mention, even though we offer links between articles and datasets, we heard from participants that we should expand this and also offer links between articles and software, articles and clinical trials, but also in the form of recommendation that Pure admins could approve it and then import into Pure. Next slide, please. So just to finish my part of the presentation about the follow-up step, you see on the screen a prototype of the new environment that we're developing right now to address the first use case, help librarians and RDM managers to prepare selection of data sets and import it into Pure. We're developing a new redesigned web application, Data Monitor, which will look very much similar to the Scopus and will work in a very similar way. You will be able to search for data sets using advanced search options, but also filter based on the most convenient filters such as publication year, repository, and data type. And what is very convenient that based on this selection, we will generate an advanced search query in a textual format that you can later copy and paste in the advanced search query that I just showed you 2 slides ago. So this will help us to bridge the gap between the data monitor corpus and the pure integration. We expect this to be released later this year or early next year as a beta application, but as the product will mature, you will notice more capabilities appearing. Next slide, please, Frank. I would like to conclude our presentation with a few useful links. So both you can find information about Data Monitor, a case study that we wrote together with University of Groningen, and then very detailed document again from the same group who spent some time testing Data Monitor. A wiki site page for Belgian-Dutch user group, which contains a lot of useful information about data sets and how they should be represented in Pure, but also some of their ideas related to Data Monitor. And I would like to use this opportunity and to invite you to visit 2 our booths. First of all, Belgian-Dutch user group, and also Data Monitor group available in the Pure Expo Gallery. And with this, we come to our last slide. Thank you very much for your attention. And if there are any questions, we're happy to answer it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Elena and Frank, for your presentation. Okay, so there are a couple questions. The first, does the size of the data set cause issues with importing, or are there any limits on size?
I would like to take this one.
Of linked files,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Linked files. So in Data Monitor, we deal with metadata, right? So this is a metadata record that you import into Pure. So as such, there are no limitations.
Thank you. Is there a fee to get the API for the Data Monitor in Pure?
I actually answered this question in the chats. I can also verbalize it here, but for all of you who have access to the chats, you can read the detailed answer. Maybe I'll give the brief answer here as well. There are 2 ways to access the API. You can have access to the free API, and by doing that, there is no fee, obviously, and you can get access to the source metadata of the repositories, or you can have access to the paid API, so there is a fee. And if you do that, then you have access to the enriched metadata, to the cleansed metadata, which means in turn a cleaner feed of metadata and more linked data sets that we can find for a given institution. If you want to know more, please come and visit us at the virtual booth, and we would be happy to show more.
Okay, so next question, thank you, is how do you deal with imported data sets that are not data sets, but perhaps like preprints? Are they corrected and converted to the appropriate content type by you or your team?
Yeah, I can take this one. So there are multiple ways. First of all, indeed, we check whether the record is potentially an article or preprint, and we convert it to a document type. However, unfortunately, in some repositories, these records are still labeled as datasets, and we have multiple approaches for dealing with this. So, for instance, just an example, in Zenodo, very often it's republished as preprint or article, but they still keep a DOI. So we can identify based on the DOI prefix and actually remove it completely from our corpus. So we have this type of algorithms that allow us to remove those records, but we also partner with data science team. It's actually an ongoing project, and they're going to help us to improve this even further. So you will see even less of this type of records appearing.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We just have a few seconds before the end of this session. Thank you, Elena, Lorenzo, and Frank for your presentation. This is the last track 2 session, and the next session is the Pure Roadmap, which is in the main presentation area. There's a 5-minute break. I also want to apologize again for the issue at the beginning and the audio feedback, but thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.